knowing your passions, your skills, and then where the business opportunities, where they all intersect. Yeah. And then I put a title of that of Eyes Wide Open. I always talk about, have a plan, be flexible with that plan because it can change, and then find advocates for that plan. And then hopefully that advocate is your direct manager or someone in your chain. Makes a lot of it easier.
You asked me to think like a CEO and say, if the CEO is looking down at your career, how is he or she looking at your career progression?
The number one advice I give to everyone, network, network, network. So there's probably a flavor in that is get your messaging out to people, advocate for yourself.
Welcome back to the Future Human Experience podcast. I am your host, Eric Rodriguez. Today's a very special episode because not only have a fellow friend of mine, but someone that's been very instrumental in my career. I've told several of his stories on this podcast and in my keynotes. And so I want to make sure y'all have a name, a face to the name and to the person we've been talking about. Aaron Blawn, welcome to the Future Human Experience podcast.
Oh, thank you.
So Aaron, our career intersected when I first came to Arizona 16 years ago. You were my first manager that was in the company we were both working at that time. And share with us a little bit more about your leadership style. That's what I want our conversation today to be about, right? About if it wasn't for someone like yourself, someone like me, I don't think I would have had a chance to go and explore different areas of my career. Tell us a little bit more about what your leadership style is, but more importantly, what drove you to have that leadership style that not only inspires people, but encourages people to go and explore different aspects of their careers?
Okay, it's probably semi-universal, but I think it kind of starts with what your individual passions are most likely to lead to your style. And, when I looked back at now and even a long time ago, I kind of knew, teaching was something that was very, very important to me. I come from a family of teachers. Yeah. And then I love working with people. There's a key point there. And then challenging. It was an engineering degree, so I love working with challenges. So you bundle that up, and my leadership style already, I think, hopefully number one is it's people-centered, right? And then part of that people-centered is, ties into my ability to work with people, teaching, learning, to get through really meaningful, tough challenges.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I remember one of the first conversations we had was we had to do like a manager review. And actually shared this on the podcast. I haven't shared that it was you that told me that. But now we could share that was you. We had this manager review and we had to rate you between 1 and 5, if I'm not mistaken, right? And you would tell us, you're like, hey, if I'm not mistaken, this is how you had told us. You're like, my expectation is that I'm going to get a 5 by the time you have to do this review. If we do not have a 5 by the time of this review, it is on you. And I was like, when you first shared that with me, I was like, wait, what is he saying? Like, is he threatening me? And then you clarified immediately after. You're like, I have an open door policy. I need you to come and talk to me what I'm not doing for you to achieve that 5, to earn that 5 throughout this whole time frame. Do not wait until the end to tell me I'm not doing a good job. That was basically your message to us, right? And that shook me because in a positive way, I was like, wow, this person not only expects to be a good manager, he wants to be measured to be a good manager, but he's giving me all these opportunities to give him feedback and to learn. Where did that come from too, for you to be that open for us to basically criticize you to be better?
Yeah, so I think it's an important distinction. We can talk about both. One is a manager role and a leader role are very different. Now, you most likely need to do both in your career. Further up an organization you're going to be tending to be more leader versus manager. So what you were just talking about is management. So call it my leadership style into management is I want to set the person up for success as much as possible. I mean, my customer isn't the company I work for. My customer really as a manager is and leader is that person I am working with. So being as straightforward with them as possible is the best thing you can do to set you both up for success. And the ultimate test is at the end of the day, if I can look them in the eyes and look myself in the mirror and say, I did everything I could. There's also, sometimes I find you need to kind of break people out of not being really willing to advocate for themselves. So that message I gave was probably more of a forcing function because I'll sometimes have people write the review while I'm writing it in parallel, just to force them to get comfortable advocating for themselves. Because that is something that a lot of people struggle with. So, but at the end of the day, if you don't feel comfortable coming to me for help, we both lose, right? So it's mutual success.
Yes. Yeah, that perspective really did help me and helped me become a better people manager as I grew. And one of the conversations, again, one of the stories I've shared multiple times has been that conversation you and I had in our one-on-one, probably a year into my job or a year and a half into my job, where you were challenging me. You were challenging me to explore what I wanted to go do. And I looked at it at first. I was like, wait, why are you asking me this? Like, do you not want me to do what I'm doing now? Like, what's wrong? Am I not performing? Because I just wanted to get promoted 2-3 times and move a cubicle every once in a while, and I'm good, right? And the reason why you were asking me that is because you got to know me a little bit more. You got to know what I was doing outside of work. But can you share with me a little bit more about, I guess, yes, in a personal way, what did you see in me personally at that time that maybe I didn't see and that you, to a certain extent, helped me uncover early on in my career?
Yeah, I have a really simple Venn diagram that I use over and over for anyone I, is managing, anyone I'm mentoring, for myself, for my family. And it really is knowing your passions, your skills, and then where the business opportunities, where they all intersect. And then I put a title over that of eyes wide open. In other words, you can make choices as long as you know those things and you understand the pros and the cons. So when we get into the passions, typically I say that 80% needs to come from you to understand what really fuels you, 20% for me. You were someone who are so passionate on the outside. You were probably the corner case. It was so obvious to see what really energized you. And, it would be like after hours and I'm still there doing my management work and you're on a nonprofit call. We're on there, another time and you're there working with a school system on something. And then, you wear your passion on your sleeve. You're one of the most inspiring people I know. That was very easy of, the opposite of alarm bells, of opportunity bells, of saying, hey, here's someone, you were obviously a good, very, very good engineer. And that's, when the story started. You and I were doing very, very technical engineering work. And you don't get to become an engineer without being good at it. So, but then I started seeing you had this incredible passion of what you're doing outside of work. And then I think it was helping you make a connection that particularly the company we worked for was such a big company. Like I was a mechanical engineer and I would not have thought that a semiconductor company originally would have mechanical engineers. Well, guess what? They do. They have a lot of mechanical engineers. They have HR. They have, in your case, education. So you were the first one, to make me aware of the Khan Academy, right? So, again, you're very early technology and education and and then all the volunteering work. So to me, I just saw this magic in you of your passion. And hey, there probably, and by the way, at the time there wasn't, but there probably is something that you can now.
You're right.
You clearly have the passion. You got the skill set too that came with it. And let's go look if there's a business opportunity. And we started in one direction, and then I'll let you tell the rest of the story.
Exactly. Yeah. You encouraged me to build tools into my toolbox, right? That you're like, don't be enamored with your grade level. Don't be enamored with the promotions. Don't be enamored with the salary. That will come, right? If you just stack these tools, those opportunities, those doors are going to open up. And that was some of the best advice I ever got in my career, Aaron. And I'm incredibly grateful and honored to be part of your journey. Because even now when I tell this story, people are like, wow, you're so lucky you had a manager like that. And I'm very fortunate to have crossed paths with you because you really did unlock something in me that to this day, I get to share that story with so many others and encourage managers to lead a certain way or encourage managers to support people in a certain way. And I think looking at my career as tools into my toolbox, even today, the work that I'm doing right now, this platform is a tool into this greater toolbox. Where is this going to lead 5 years, 10 years from the road? Who knows? Right? It might be episode 1,000 or we might finish in this season, but at least I get to build these tools with the people I care about.
And, for those that don't know the full story, what ended up happening several years later, Intel got
Oakland.
into an education initiative. You now had
all this experience.
Had everything from the passion,
right.
the skills, and now there's this business opportunity, and you were maybe uniquely set for that benefited you. Yeah. It made me incredibly proud of you and happy, and it benefited the company we worked for in a massive way, right? Yeah. And then you're right. Towards your passion, it benefited the school system, right?
You're right. Yeah, it was building this toolbox that when that opportunity presented itself in the way that it did, you're right. Yeah. Some of us sometimes we don't see it immediately, right? But those business opportunities, and sometimes those business opportunities aren't necessarily within the companies that we work in today. Correct. And that's the other thing too, that I love that you had even challenged me with that perspective and saying, of course we would love to keep you. This is fantastic. You're a great employee, but I want you to explore everything around us first and see where the business opportunity is. If it's not here, are you building the right skill sets to get there one day? Because either one day it'll present itself in here or present somewhere else. And having that thoughtfulness of doing that, I think, is the type of leaders and the type of management skills that we need today.
Yeah, and the thing I push, again, myself, the people I mentor, is be eyes wide open about it too. So look at everything, because it's not necessarily, I'll take back a little bit, salary is important to a factor. So find out what is important to you at the time. And like in your case, you were eyes wide open when this opportunity came. It did involve a move, a move of a family, right? Yeah. It involved stepping away a little bit from, the day-to-day of engineering. Yeah. So you are probably more in what I call the positive risk-taking side too, where by being eyes wide open, that was probably, or I think it obviously became a situation where you're like, okay, I understand that. I'm willing to go accept this to work in a space I'm really passionate about. Yeah. So.
And I think also, Aaron, one of the things too that I learned from that experience was that you also encouraged me to share that with others. Like you encouraged me to share the things I cared about with others, right? Sometimes when we're at companies today, we say, well, my passion doesn't align really well here with the business. So I'm just going to keep that within me. I'm just going to share it maybe with my closest friend, maybe my mentor, maybe not my manager, depending on my manager, right? And what you encouraged me, like, no, Eric, share it with the world, like share it with everyone else, because then eventually when that initiative came up, people eventually knew, oh yeah, this is who we need to tap into, because you shared it enough so many times. Oh, I know Eric's brand. It didn't come out of the blue that I was getting prepared for something like that. Yeah. And so I think that's also something that today in this 21st century that we're seeing constant disruption, we should encourage people to do more of, right? Share with people what problems you care about solving. Share what you want to get involved in. Because at the end of the day, those opportunities, those doors will show up.
Yeah. I always talk about, have a plan, be flexible with that plan because it can change, and then find advocates for that plan. And then hopefully that advocate is your direct manager or someone in your chain. Makes a lot easier. Another funny story, I had someone that our first one-on-one we called when I came into this group, they let me know right off the bat, hey, I'm getting my MBA. My career goal is ready to go, instead of being in this technical group, to go do over here. And I said, that's awesome. I can't tell you how happy you told me that today, because now we can go plan that as a team of two. And very quickly, once upon graduation, I got that individual into global supply chain. Yep. And that was probably 8 years ago, and we're still that's awesome. We still work together in some functions, and we also are still good friends. So again, being open with your manager. By the way, that was afforded to me when I was a mechanical engineer. Yes. I went over to did some international travel to do some startup. And then I knew when I wanted to come back, I wanted to become the engineering type manager because I worked with people. And so I very early talked to my manager, hey, to gain this experience, I want to branch out and I want to go into chemical engineering discipline, in this case, ultra pure water, and got his buy-in before I even came back. So I was already studying for it. By the time I came back, I landed in that. So being open with your manager. If you have this idea and then you blindside your manager or your leader, then you definitely won't have got the help to get you moving faster, and you might get a bad response.
And so, Aaron, do you think that is needed today in this era that we're seeing layoffs, changes, mergers and acquisitions, companies moving sites, all these job changes that are happening? What do you think is unique that we need today in management and in leadership to help us navigate all these constant changes that we're seeing?
Yeah, I don't, from maybe my parents' generation, hey, I started with a company and I'm going to stay with that company, I'm going to get a pension. I'm Gen X, and it was kind of still believing that. And surprisingly, I was able to do that for a long time. But there's kind of two sides of the coin that you're asking. One is, as a leader, people no longer really believe in that contract, and so the average, I'd say, employee is probably hyper
flexible,
moving around. And as a leader of a company, how do you go navigate that? Is probably the bigger challenge. But as the person, again, it's I think they are realizing how that life is work is changing so fast. I think you know, the statistic of like every 2 years the amount of knowledge doubles, right? So the newer workforce and the ones in the workforce last 5 to 10 years, it is so front and center of how much life has changed. When they started in college, they got out of college, or so I think it's just ingrained in them. So I think maybe my generation was maybe the transitional generation. Not to say that people still don't need that advice, but it's amazing. I'm going to speak to like the professional, degreed side of it. A lot of times you could get, hey, I went and got a degree in this. That was my career. I need to stick with this. But you'll find a lot of college teaches you how to think, right? And you can apply that to about anything. When you get into the trades, there's I think maybe a healthier structure to how to progress through the trades, maybe even up through leadership. The part that in the trades is how to become a leader of your own business, right?
That's right.
Become a tradesman, former skill, and then I create my business, which is a huge opportunity and undertaking. Those are the people I'm probably most impressed with, right? But on the degree side, sometimes you can get stuck that, hey, I have an engineering degree, I have to stay as an engineer because I invested all that. But really what you invested in is learning how to think.
No, I think that was also very instrumental to get that, I wouldn't say permission, but that guidance from you too early on in my career, right? Because I was like, oh yeah, no, this is the only thing I could do. These are the buckets I could be in. And you were encouraging not only myself, but so many others. No, think bigger. Like think bigger. One of the things that you encouraged us to think, I remember vividly having this conversation with you, is you asked me to think like a CEO and say, if the CEO is looking down at your career, how is he or she looking at your career progression? And I was like, interesting. And you were encouraging me to look at all the different groups and organizations I was going to go and tackle with, right? And go and be in. And you're saying, Eric, if you're going to be a little bit in HR, you're going to be a little bit in engineering and manufacturing, you're going to be a little bit in sales, even though the quote unquote, the promos might not all be there, but from an executive level, you're building all these expertise and all these tools, right? That one day those doors, again, from a senior level perspective, they'll start showing up. And I think it was like clockwork, 7-8 years into that journey that I was in, I started looking back at my career and thinking like, wow, I've done all these different little buckets, not the depth that I could build an expertise that I know in and out, the whole side of it, but dangerous enough that I understand the business case for each of those organizations. And that was a big aha moment for me too, was for you to encourage me to no, look from the top down and see how they see you. That's also considered growth.
Yeah, and maybe some of that was be an advocate for yourself too, right?
Yes,
it's like the number one advice I give to everyone: network. So there's probably a flavor in that is get your messaging out to people, advocate for yourself. The other one is, again, back to that passion. Know what your wants are, and and so like mine were, again, I love people, collaboration. I love challenges. And then at the time, for quite a while, when I had 3 kids, security of location and security of job became important.
That's huge.
I probably had a bigger passion for doing these big startups at factories and maybe international countries. And I did one when I had a 2-month-old and a 2-year-old, but later I turned one down when they were a little older in the school system. I had an opportunity, was told, they wanted me to apply for a position in a different state. And I had to say, if you're asking me, the answer is no, because if you're telling me, we'll go consider it. There's another time I turned down a job within the same company, but I handled it in a way that, hey, this doesn't fit me now, but if something else comes up, and a year later, the Ireland job came up. So that was a great win. So, but again, that state networking and understanding, eyes wide open, of where my boundary conditions were. I did the long majority of my career in operations, which is 24/7 on call, which can have, but I didn't have to travel that much.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so
you were literally 10 minutes from.
Well, but I was away from my family.
Correct.
I wasn't on an airplane, I guess.
Yes.
And so that was what was important to me, right? So knowing those things is equally important. But the broader you can set your skills to, as long as it's toward a plan, you're not just going,
correct,
willy-nilly, is that you are going to open up those opportunities when they do create. So
no, that's a great piece of advice, because the other piece that I've rewarded just a little bit for, especially the younger professionals, I encourage them to also think about what they don't want to do. Like not just as much as what they want to do. Like, what are some of the non-negotiables? Like, is there certain industries that you care about more or don't care about? Are there certain locations that you're like, no matter what, I just can't go there? Or, hey, it's important for me to stay close to family. Like, all those things are very important, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're very transparent with what that might look like, those people around you will help you. If you open yourself up to them and say, these are things that are important to me, they'll acknowledge that and give you those right opportunities. Yeah.
And it's also maybe the things that you're not really good at.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, and then it's very common. And I was able to have some incredible partners. Again, I love collaboration. So I would align myself very closely with people who had those other skills.
Yes.
Right. And so that's the other thing, you can create these super powerful dynamic teams of people, building on everyone's strength. Now, I do tell people, I ask like right off the bat, the first meeting is, tell me about what de-energizes you and what energizes you, to get those out. And then, some people will say, like, typical is paperwork de-energizes them. Every once in a while, I'll find someone who it energizes them. So if I have the opportunity, I will slide that work over.
That's a good point.
Keep this one over energized and not de-energized. But I always tell people, you can't necessarily avoid everything, right? You have to be. Now, there are what you were kind of describing, maybe a hard line. Like, I don't want to work in the defense industry.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
So
Aaron, you told us about the beginning of your career. You shared with us that you have not only a wonderful growing family, but you're in a different stage of your career as well now. What does it mean now for you to build a legacy, not only in the work that you've done, but in the work that you continue to do moving forward?
Yeah, what's very neat is you definitely have a lot more clarity when you're semi-retired. You look back, you and I did some amazing things. I, helped build up, start up and operate up to 6, like state-of-the-art factories
on the planet.
We were dealing with the revenues that is just unbelievable, right? Yeah. And not say I'm not proud about that, but 100% what sticks with me is the people that I met. I actually was thinking about this. Like, this week, I will be meeting with 10 people that I worked with, some for lunch, some after work. This is one of them, 10 people that we worked with. So the people is the number one legacy. And then what I really, was so blessed to work at Intel was the safety and the environmental was not just a priority. It was a value. It was put forward by the CEO. And then we did some amazing things. And so in my retirement, I'm doing some consulting, but I'm limiting it to anything involved with environmental or safety. And then I had the great honor to be involved with Arizona Forward, which is a nonprofit. And for the last 10 years, I've been on the board, and so I'm still a member. I'm still on the board. Cool. And again, that's that great intersection of the business, the sustainability. How do you marry those two? It's a very divisive world. But Arizona Forward is like at the forefront of it. Hey, let's get everyone together, talk about common problems and how we all work together and to solve them. So the legacy really came down on people, and then environmental and safety. So
awesome.
And,
well, Aaron, I'm grateful for not only the work that you've done, but the impact that you've had not only in my career, but so many others. I've had a lot of connections because of you as well. That you said, hey, go and talk to Eric about this, go and talk to Eric about that. And that's been wonderful as well, right? Just to see that connection, by that commonality, right? That you see all of us, that we've had an opportunity to be mentored by you, to now have an opportunity to mentor others, right? And that's beautiful to see. Aaron, so I thought we're gonna do the Asking Eric section a little bit different today. I'll ask you for the question you have for me, but I also have something special I want to show you as we get into the section. So one of the things we love to do with our guests is we ask them to come up with a surprise question for me. I've known you for pretty much the first day I landed on this state. So it's been a long time. But Aaron Blawn, what question do you have for me today?
Okay, Eric Rodriguez, instrumentation controls engineer into the education sector for high tech, into public speaker, podcast. What's your next move?
Oh, what's my next move? I had this really interesting conversation with a former podcast guest, Lorenzo Sierra. He's a former state senator. And he's always bugged me. I wouldn't say bugged me is not the right point. He's always asked me every time I see him, say, Eric, what are you running for? What are you running for? And I just thought he had me confused with someone else. Like this whole time for like a good decade, probably. He's like, Eric, yeah, what are you running for this time? I was like, nothing. Like, what are you talking? I'm chilling at Intor. I'm doing this with Oakland. I'm doing this. And he kept asking me this. And then I had him on the podcast not too long ago, and we talked about it. I said, yeah, we had this joke, right? That you would ask me. He's like, no, Eric, I was seriously asking you, what are you running for? Like, I really do think you should get involved in local politics. And I was like, huh. And then we kind of just talked off screen later. I was like, you were serious about that, weren't you? And one of the things he told me, he's like, look, because I told him honestly, I was like, look, man, I don't have aspirations to be a career politician. That's just not my thing. Like, I like to get involved. I'm not in that aspect of things. But he encouraged me. He's like, you don't have to be. You just have to be of service to others, right? And you do this for a couple of years and that's it. So he planted a seed. I'm not saying that's what I'm doing. I'm not announcing anything today. But he planted that seed in me that I never thought about from that perspective, right? That if I sign up for this, I'm not doing this for the next 30, 40 years of my life. I just want to do this because I care about the community I get to live in. Yeah. And he left that with me. And so it's been nogging around. And then I had this event not too long ago. I spoke to another former state senator that knows him. And I told him this story. And he told me, he's like, Eric, one of the commitments that me and Lorenzo has always had is like, who is next? Who is next to fill these seats? Because these seats are never for us. Yeah. They're for our community. And that also stuck with me. That perspective of building something for someone else, that stuck with me. So I don't know what is next, but that might be something. Okay. I don't know. That'd be fun.
I would tell you, I would love it because for the outcome.
Sure.
But again, you have two intangibles. We talk about skills. Yeah. You can develop, in theory, any skill, but you are the most authentic person I know.
Appreciate it.
Which is not easy to develop, right? If you're not that way. And then obviously your passion just overflows. Then obviously you're very smart, and you care, which is the most important part. So you would be what I would call the ideal politician. Now your eyes wide open is
I need to learn how to ask for money.
Yeah.
But with that said, Aaron, it's always a blast to have you. But I thought we're gonna do something special today because it's you. You're also an avid reader. I was not, to be honest with you. You were always very encouraging to me to bring up some books. So I would read some of the books you recommend, but you would recommend maybe 10 books and I'll have a chance to read maybe 2 of them at a time. And what I've learned over the last few years that you're also a very avid fiction reader, mostly through your children, but now just in the era that you're in. So I thought it would be fun for me to bring you some books that I have that I've read or on my to be read list. And I thought I would show them to you and to the audience and see if you recommend them for us and to me to read them. Okay. Is that cool?
Yeah, can I do it?
Yes.
One more quick dive on legacy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I said people, but ultimately at the end of the day, and I think you and I are aligned, the people part is being legacy of being a good spouse, a good father, and a good friend. And
absolutely.
I put those above all, right? So
thank you, Aaron. It means the world to me. And I got to learn a lot of that from you as well. Okay, so we have these books here. So I'll slowly bring them up to the camera. So Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary. Yeah. Do you recommend it?
Absolutely. Yes,
okay. Did you watch the movie?
I read the book and watched the movie. All the changes to the movie, I totally understood. I thought they did a good job. A little long, but all these books are long.
Okay.
And I came from the space industry too. So.
Oh, okay. That's right. Yeah. And so just a quick story for this one. I ended up rereading this and listening to it with my children. So each of my children had the copy of the book. We were listening to it and reading it. In the car and at home because we wanted to finish it before the movie came out. And so when we asked my son, Gio, when the movie was done, I said, Gio, what did you think? He's like, the movie was too short. And I was like, because he spent like almost 20 hours with Ryland Grace, right?
Oh, right. Like, book, yes, for the science, or audiobook,
Movie
for the experience.
Okay, I agree. Yeah. And if you're a Lego fan, the Lego set is out there too. All right. Red Rising, Pierce Brown.
So it is, I've been listening to an audiobook.
Okay.
back to why I got into reading fiction. A lot of it was to de-stress at the end of the night, and it forces me to compartmentalize all the stresses when I was working. This one is a little more stress. I need to keep pushing through it.
Okay.
But I was getting ready for a backpacking trip, so I would only allow myself to listen while I was doing the Stairmaster or something to exercise.
So it's pretty intense.
Intense, and it's so far it's been setting up the trauma side of that story.
Okay. So. All right, so that's on my TBR. I have not read that one.
Yeah. Everyone puts it as one of the top.
I know, right? Yeah. Carl Sagan, Contact.
Yes, a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
I like science fiction.
Good movie. Yeah. Fahrenheit 451.
It's maybe a little too stressful right now, but I mean, it's just the type of stuff we should all be reading and realizing it's happening in front of us right now.
All right, cool. This is on my TBR too, so I need to pick that one up.
Yeah.
I just finished this book because it was also recommended. Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn.
Yeah, he's a prolific writer, kind of the fantasy. That's I'd say I think it's a good trilogy. It might be.
Yes, I'm not in book 2 yet.
Yeah, it's got an interesting system in it.
Okay.
So these are the ones I started to get into just to kind of have nonsensical or interesting fun. To kind of block out the fact that my phone might ring at any moment.
And a multi-billion-dollar factory is shutting down.
That doesn't happen anymore. So.
Yeah. No, but what I also like about, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I think reading fiction is an opportunity kind of just for us to disconnect. But what I've also learned from this is like, there are some really cool lessons in some of these stories, right? And so even though this is a cool magic system, the talk about what inspires change and what inspires others to move, I thought was an interesting concept here. So this one, the movie's about to come out, Remarkably Bright Creatures.
Yeah, this one I would want to read just by the title of it. My one daughter loves octopi, so
oh, there you go.
Yeah, don't order octopus at a restaurant in front of her; she'll get very upset. But I think they're finding that's one of the most intelligent animals out there. Right?
All right, so, exactly, And so that one's about to come out.
I'm guessing there's a lesson about seeing people through through
the eyes of the animal, right?
Yeah, which is
exactly right. So that's really cool. This one's also on the list for a lot of folks. Susan Clark's Piranesi.
I have not.
Okay, so that was also on the list that a lot of folks have been talking about. And have not read it. This one I have read. Have you read this one, The Midnight Library?
That's on my list to read. I can't remember, but it's on my. I think I have the sample of it. But
this was really cool. This is about a person who wishes their life was just a little bit different, and she ends up waking up in this library that has infinite number of books.
Yes.
And so the librarian challenges her to go and relive all these lives that she regrets not having.
Okay.
And so it's an exploration of that. Yeah.
But I'm reading one now called Mother Learning.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of like a Harry Potter meets that book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's a time loop in it. So I'll just say,
that's cool. We'll talk about time loops. This is a short story. This is actually recommended by one of our common friends, Adam Novak. Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Chiang. Have you read this one?
I've not.
So this is a book of short stories. And one of the short stories is the story of your life, short story, which is the inspiration for the movie Arrival, which is with these aliens. And what I found fascinating about that particular story is our concept of language dictates our concept of how we experience time. And I thought that was a really interesting book there. I highly recommend it. And then this one, Theo of Golden. Have you read this one by Adam Levy?
Oh, yeah. I haven't read it.
Okay.
I was just talking about this.
Yeah, it was like one of the most books sold since Christmas.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah. And so I read it during Christmas, and this is about an 85-year-old man who walks into his coffee shop and sees all these portraits drawn of people, and he's inspired by them, and so he starts buying them and giving them back to the person that is the subject of that portrait. Okay. And so that's how it starts, and then you start exploring why he's doing this, and just the concept of one of the things I told my kids about this book is like, what does it mean to be kind? Yeah. Right? Versus what does it mean to be selfish? And there's sometimes that, and what does it mean to be generous? And sometimes we think that kindness is the same thing as generosity, and sometimes it's not. Yeah. And so anyway, so this is a really interesting book. So I highly recommend Theo Golden. I just realized I just stacked all this in front of the camera, so sorry. But with that said, Aaron, what are books, or what would be one book that you recommend to the audience today that, let's say, one fiction and one nonfiction?
Okay. For leadership types books,
yes,
I don't necessarily like to read a lot of books. Someone told me that I respect if you go like the table of contents, you can quickly learn most of it, right?
That's correct.
But there's one that is fundamentally, I think, had really driven how I act, particularly that you and I are basis as engineers, and it's switch when making changes hard.
Yeah.
And they're a certain subset of people, us, a lot of times like to speak in data. And the reality is they listen to logic, but they also listen to emotion.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you can weaponize that.
Yeah.
And so I think we're in this crisis of times of, how do you go productively address emotion, but also bring fact, into it, right? So
that'd be cool. Okay. So that's for leadership. Switch. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about your fiction?
Okay.
I know which one you're going to recommend.
Yeah, so this one comes with, I don't know what you call a warning or whatever, but it's highly rated. But Dungeon Crawler Carl, you can't really describe it, and there might be some not safe for work type stuff in there.
Yeah, okay.
You will be reading it going, what did I just read?
So there's a reason why I don't have that book here. Yeah. You did recommend it to me. I was so excited to start reading. I was like, what did Aaron recommend to me?
I know.
So I do have to pick it back up. I do, because the audiobook is fantastic, actually.
Yeah, that's one. Jeff Hayes.
Yes.
I don't listen to many audiobooks. Jeff Hayes is this mastermind that does in the first book every single character, I think, except one minor character, mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But it is a very nonsensical fantasy type,
escapism type,
almost. But it has moments that will hit you so hard.
That's cool.
And then have you laugh in the next, and then what did I just read? And
awesome.
It is just whiplash of amazing writing.
Well, we'll have links to all that on our show notes. Aaron, how can people stay connected with you and your work?
So Arizona Forward is where I think where I'm putting most of my effort today. It's a nonprofit. Again, it's how do we drive sustainability and economic vitality for the state of Arizona. We have all the universities involved in Arizona. We have big business. We have the power companies. We have nonprofits.
Wow.
So it's a true inclusive big tent of everyone working together. So Arizona Forward is probably my number one passion right now, beyond family and friends. So.
Well, we'll have that link on our show notes. And again, Aaron Blawn, thank you so much for being part of the Future Human Experience. And thank you for all the guidance you've given me, my family, and so many of us as we're building a much more human-centered future.
All right. Thank you.
All right, brother. Thank you for listening to this episode. I'm inspired to hear that these conversations are resonating within our communities, our organizations, our companies, and our households all around the world. If you found this conversation to be valuable, please take the time to like, subscribe, and share it with someone else. I do believe that as the future gets much more digitized, it gives us an opportunity to be much more human as well. And these conversations are part of that journey. So if you're enjoying the content on this channel, please check out these videos. Thank you.